Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. For today's top 10 remake, we're actually going to be talking about top 10 Ninjago characters. And yeah, I am remaking this video. I believe it was last made in the summer sometime. So it is a remake, and my opinions have slightly changed. Although you'll notice that the top 10 characters are pretty much the same as last time. Although, as I have just said, we have slightly rearranged some stuff. But yeah, anyways, we are going to be starting off the list with the number 10 character. In 10th place, we have Harumi, who's a new character introduced in Season 8 and later turned out to be the main villain of Season 8. What I really love about Harumi's story is that it's actually not something that is really far out or crazy. It's actually a story that is kind of relatable and could pretty much happen in real life. Although, of course, we do have parts that are highly exaggerated from her story. But what I really think about is pretty cool about her story is how she doesn't, again, come from anywhere far off. She's a normal human being like the rest of us, and she goes through something that people in real life do go through. I think what's especially cool about her is she is definitely one of the darkest characters in Ninjago, and her sadistic personality and, that side of her is really, really cool, especially how she just wants Lloyd to see the end, and even, that scene where she asks Lloyd how it feels to see the end gets me every single time. Such an amazing scene, and it really is a reflection of how amazing Harumi's character is. Harumi's character has really been through she's been through a lot. I mean, she went out from being truly evil to then kind of turning good, which I think was a great conclusion for her character arc as well. In 9th place, we have Nia, and something that I find really cool about her character is how many different roles that she's played throughout the series. She is Kai's sister, Jay's girlfriend, she is the water ninja, and she was at one point Samurai X as well. And I think, especially in the beginning seasons, how she tries to prove herself is a really cool character arc. The Samurai X plot twist is really amazing, and I don't think I would have seen that one coming at all had I been watching the series at the time. But I think it was a really great character twist, and it definitely gave her more to do. Becoming a water ninja, she definitely had a lot more to do, and that's really when she started getting a much bigger role. But Samurai X in the end is something that she did create, and I think out of the two, I do prefer her Samurai X form. Nia's character is also pretty cool because she is determined, but one thing that I feel her character does struggle with is just kind of being the girl ninja. That's one thing that they that's one thing that's kind of emphasized a bit too heavily. Oh, she's the girl ninja, and that's kind of it. But again, then again, that stuff is kind of gone. That was mostly emphasized throughout Seasons 5 and Season 6, but I think luckily that has since faded out from the series. In 8th place, we have Cole, the Earth Ninja, and what I'm really fond of when it comes to his character is just how charming of a character he is. He's very humble, he's very modest, and he really does deserve a season. But what I really love about Cole's character is he doesn't really have that much going on, but at the same time, he's a very sweet guy, and he has a very kind heart. And I think that is definitely a big win for Cole. He's just a nice guy in general, and he's very sweet-hearted. And while he might not have Jay's humor or Kai's anger, he just has something else that is very, very charming and very fun to watch as well. And that is essentially his kind-heartedness. He has a sense of warmth that emanates from him, and he's just a very friendly person in general. And I think that's what's super charming about Cole's character. He's also a great fighter, but in the end, he really does deserve a season. I can't believe that we've had so many Lloyd and Kai seasons, but not a full Cole season that he does deserve. In 7th place, we have Kai, who is Nia's brother and the Master of Fire. The main personality trait of Kai, of course, is his hot-headed anger, and I think that is definitely a very cool character trait for Kai. We've seen it used several times in the series, and it definitely makes sense, of course, pertaining to the element of fire. Having anger be one of his main traits is definitely a great idea, and I think it does make a lot of sense for Kai. We've seen a lot of really cool storylines that stem from his anger, such as him fighting Ray in episode 72, or him, just revealing his true feelings to Lloyd in episode 41 when the staff corrupts him. And I think Kai's anger is a great device that the writers have used very well, and I would love to see more stories stem from his anger. But I think Kai's anger is definitely a really cool plot device, and as well as that, Kai's just a great fighter, and he does have a much softer side as well, as seen in episode 97 when he comforts his sister, and I think that is also a great side of Kai as well. Jay is a really unique character because he essentially has two character traits, two sides of his personality that essentially do contradict each other. The first is his comedy and his humor, and that is especially seen in the first few seasons of the show, when Jay really is the comic relief. His jokes are very funny, and I think that's a great side of Jay, a much more wittier side of him, And that is really cool to see. I love this, and I think it made a lot of sense for Jay's humor to be one of the main devices for his character. But we've also seen a side of him that is completely the opposite. A much more serious, understanding side of Jay that is seen mostly in Season 6, when he is protecting Nia, and he still manages to maintain that humor and charm, but at the same time he is very serious as well. He respects Nia, he learns to respect Nia throughout the season, and in the end, it comes down to that final wish that he must make. He pours out his heart into that wish, and he makes a very serious wish at the end. These two balancing sides of his character, you have the much more wittier, humorous side, and of course the much more serious, understanding side, is what essentially makes Jay the perfect balance, character-wise. Moro is going to take 5th place on this list. It is true that I like Harumi more as a villain, but I definitely do like Moro more as a character. That is because Moro isn't just a villain. He has been seen siding with the ninja at times too. And I think that's what's great about Moro's character. When he was revealed in Season 5 or Season 4, you could argue, he instantly became a fan favorite character, and people just loved him. And I did too. I think Moro is a very cool character, and there's a lot of depth to him. His motivation and how his dreams essentially led him to his life pretty much was ruined. And I think that is what's pretty cool, but also very scary about his life and his story in general. He wanted something so badly that it got him killed. And that essentially is the end of it. But what is really unique about Moro, and what I think a lot of people, including myself, most love about him, is the way that he ends, how he goes out in the end. And that is, he dies, actually. He dies in Season 5, after a final heartfelt moment with Wu, where he essentially apologizes for everything and says that he can only save those who want to be saved, and he lets himself fall into the water. That is such the perfect ending for Moro's character, someone who has pretty much, tried his best tried throughout the entire season to revive the Preeminent, ultimately failed, and then realized his entire life was a waste, and then realized that death would probably be better for him. That's just really dark in general, and I think that's what makes Moro's character arc super unique. His appearance in Day of the Departed, thankfully, was not ruined, like they did ruin characters such as Pythor, and I'm eternally grateful that they didn't, because had they made him a bad guy again, that really would have ruined stuff. Zane is going to take 4th place, and while characters such as Kai and Lloyd have had far more focus seasons than Zane, I think Zane's 1 focus season is more development than Kai's 3 focus seasons or Lloyd's 4 focus seasons or anything of that. I think Zane has definitely had the most development out of the 5 ninja, or 6 ninja, I should say, and I think his development is definitely the most meaningful. Zane is weird, and that's all that was to it back in Season 1 and the pilots. We didn't really know who he was, and ultimately the plot twist of him being a Nindroid came out of nowhere. But it worked. It worked. It definitely worked, since he never really acted human from the beginning. Then we saw his development progress in the first 2 seasons, nothing too much there, but the 3rd season was definitely a great season for Zane, as he struggled with, seeing these new modern Nindroids, and he's pretty old, and then in the end, it all came down to his noble sacrifice at the hands of the Overlord, which to this day is still one of the best scenes of Ninjago. His revival and return throughout Season 4 is also a story arc of its own, and his self-identity crisis is also really cool, and it was a great exploration of who Zane really was, and it ultimately all leads up to him discovering the dragon power, which is very cool, and I think ultimately Zane has had just so much development. He had a pretty tragic past, having his father die at an early age. His father separated, Zane was thrown into a random village by the skeletons, and ultimately he learned to find his way back, and he became a really cool warrior, and an amazing person as well. And I think that is what's just so unbelievably unique about Zane's character. In 3rd place, we have Master Wu, or as they used to call him, Sensei Wu. And again, Wu's character has just been through a lot of development, especially from Season 7 to Season 9. I think that is in the entire series as a whole, his biggest chunk of development that we have seen, and he's just been through a lot overall. But what's really cool about Wu is he is a great teacher, and he's definitely an amazing mentor that I would definitely love to have. And I think that is what's really cool about Wu. He's very old and very wise, but at the same time, he's also a great fighter, and his wisdom is definitely very valuable as well. His arc from Season 7 to Season 9 is probably his best arc in Ninjago, as he goes from old to really young to a young man pretty much, becoming the Golden Dragon Master, and how, what he learns about the hardships of the First Realm and how he uses those hardships against Iron Baron to become the Golden Dragon Master, as well as the bond he forms with Firstborn, and how he sacrifices himself in Season 7, all just goes to show how great of a mentor Wu really is. So this is sure to draw some hate, But there are a ton of Lloyd haters out there who have even taken lengths to burn Lloyd minifigures or wish death upon Lloyd. Okay then. And this is especially true after the past 3 seasons in which Lloyd has been overdeveloped. But I think that is one of the problems with Lloyd. He is overdeveloped, especially in past seasons. But what I just love about him is especially his original development from season 1 to season 2, especially season 2, and even in season 8. I think those are Lloyd development at its best. And I think what's great about Lloyd's development is his change. He's gone from a bratty little kid to a noble warrior who faces down the Overlord and defeats him. And I think that is what's super cool about Lloyd. He ultimately learns who he is, and that's his story throughout the first 2 seasons. Then it kind of gets a bit dry following the next few seasons, but although his battle with Moro and the whole Green Ninja story from season 5, as well as letting his father go in seasons 4 and 5, are cool stories as well. But I think his next best story is in season 8 when he matures, and that essentially is the canon explanation behind his recasting. And I think that's what's also great as he struggles with Harumi as a love interest. And I think that's what's really cool about Lloyd's character. He's gone through so many phases, and then of course leading the Resistance in season 9. And I think the change of Lloyd and how he develops throughout the series is really why he is this high on the list. And in first place, we have Lord Sensei Emperor Garmadon, who has been through many different phases throughout the series run. And this is an opinion that I intend to back up. Garmadon is just very, very cool, and he's just been through so many different changes throughout the series. And all of those changes are really, really cool. I especially love in the pilots how mysterious he is, that evil mastermind that we never really see past there. Throughout season 1 and season 2, he is more motivated than ever to put his plan into action, and he even goes and allies up with the Overlord. From seasons 3 to 5, he is a nice, serious sensei who wants to make up for the time he lost with his family, and I think that is also a very cool arc for him as well, although not my favorite out of the, 3. But yeah, anyways, from season 8 to the present, we have the Emperor of Ninjago, who is definitely the most evil form that we have seen ever from Ninjago. This is the most evil form of Garmadon, who doesn't care for his son, throws him out the Cryptarium prison, and essentially strips his powers of him. He takes over Ninjago, and then later he helps them fight the Oni. And in season 10, this is another side of Garmadon that I just really love. Again, one of his best forms in the show yet. A form of Garmadon where he contemplates his own existence, his own allegiance, and I think that's just really nice for Garmadon. He's also gone through many different design changes throughout the series, all of which look really, really good. I love all 3 of his designs. I love his original helmet and his new helmet and all of his different face prints. And I just think Garmadon is a very cool character. He was the original antagonist of Ninjago, and it makes sense to have him a running character throughout the show. His death in season 5 was pretty necessary for the most part. He kind of didn't really have much to do past being redeemed, and it was a great plot device as well. But I'm definitely glad that he got revived, although it didn't really need to happen, but they've made so many great arcs from the revived form of Garmadon that I think it's all good now. Overall, Garmadon is just an amazing character. And that is going to wrap up the top 10 Ninjago characters video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, share with everyone you know, and be sure to list your top 10 Ninjago characters down in the comment section below. Once again, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.